All right. Let's say that you're tech and you have been tasked with installing one of these monitoring devices into your customers' homes. And whether you've been trained on this device or not, we want you to be successful, regardless of the platform is that you've chosen. And so we've got a couple tips here on how you can get the highest return on investment for your time, your customers' time, and your company's time when deploying these connected monitoring systems inside of a customer's home, from the customer interaction all the way through to the kind of installation and reviewing that data. So maybe Brian, if you can share a couple of your tips on how you would prepare technicians in creating the most amount of value in installing and deploying these types of devices.
Sure. Thanks, Ben. One of the things I would say would be a great way to show the customer the value of having HVAC monitoring on their system in whatever format that is to really show them, give them an idea of what a scenario, day in the life of an HVAC system. I always make jokes with technicians that every HVAC system breaks down on Friday at 5 p.m. That's when the homeowner gets home from work. In the Western market, especially in the heat of the summer, that's a very hot house they're walking into. Southeast Florida, it's muggy and hot. You've got biological growth happening, which is not good. Painting the picture of the worst case scenario and how a monitoring solution can, in a lot of cases, help the customer identify those issues ahead of time and be more preventative, to where you can actually live up to that preventative term by being able to identify smaller issues before they become bigger issues. Ultimately, the biggest tip for selling any monitoring solution is really relating it to the automobile. Today's modern vehicles all have a check engine light in them, and that's the easiest way for a consumer to understand what a monitoring solution would be for their HVAC system. That's first and foremost how I would bring that up in conversation. A lot of times consumers struggle with understanding why do I need sensors, or why do I need this control on my system to tell me this? Isn't that what maintenance is for twice a year? And that's a very difficult conversation for a technician to have because they don't know how to answer it. So there's a training opportunity there. One other thing to point out, and this is my tip for any new technology, is very uncomfortable to install something that you don't believe in or haven't installed personally yourself. Learning on the job is not the best place to do that. So if you can practice in your own home, practice at the shop, friends, family, whoever, I would certainly push back on the boss and say, hey, we need to practice this before we start putting it out in homes. That's been the biggest point of friction for adoption by far, is just expecting the technician to figure it out on the job. And now what would be a normal 20-minute job now becomes a 2-hour job, especially if you're dealing with connected devices. Wi-Fi connectivity is never at the top of the list for any technician to want to do. It's a very uncomfortable scenario between them and the consumer. Some of the tips are more about mental preparedness. Know that if you're doing it for the first time without any core training, go in with an open mind and just be mindful that it's not going to go necessarily 100% smoothly as you anticipate anything to go, but don't utilize that as your whole source of truth. Because once you master something, just like anything you've tried for the first time, change is hard, scary. But if you look at it from how can I master this, and conveying the benefit of, I'm so glad I put this on your system because it's 12 years old, it's 15 years old, Mrs. Jones. This is designed to help your system run longer, as long as I can retro commission it, make sure it's running properly, and then we monitor it from that point forward to get you the best value out of it until it's time to replace.
Some really good points there, Brian. I think I may have an answer to one of your points, which is it's very hard to have that conversation with the homeowner of why should I have this monitoring system versus doing maintenance? Isn't maintenance what we're doing to prevent things? Why should I use this monitoring system? And I think the best way to have that conversation with the homeowner is that, generally speaking, homeowners don't want us in the home as technicians. It uses their time. It's uncomfortable having a stranger in your home. It's more efficient to do one maintenance, really catch as many problems as possible through the use of Measure Quick, get all of those major problems fixed, get that piece of equipment operating as best as you possibly can, then install the monitoring on it and only go back when there's something wrong with that piece of equipment. Then we could do a maintenance just once a year and save the homeowner some time, save the homeowner some money. And with that monitoring, we're able to monitor 24/7 all the time what that equipment's doing and hopefully catch something before it becomes a major issue. I mean, that's the whole point of the monitoring. We want to find issues before they become major. We want to find minor issues, get out there as soon as possible, fix those minor issues before they become major. And with this, it's able to give that homeowner peace of mind, knowing that it's monitored all the time. Generally speaking, as a homeowner, you're not paying a ton of attention to your HVAC system. There's so many other things that homeowners are worrying about in their HVAC system. So to have something that's monitoring, looking out for your HVAC system all the time is a really good selling point to the homeowner.